Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Very Connected podcast. And it's where we share about all kinds of things related to bariatric surgery. And today we're being joined by our special guest, Rob Spinella. Say hello, Rob.
What's going on? How are you?
Great. People are still getting ready here to join, and I'm going to kind of do just a brief introduction, and then I'm going to kind of turn the tables over to Rob and let him talk a little bit and tell a lot more about himself. If you're joining on our live, please feel free to say hello. Let us know where you're from. If you're a weight loss surgery patient, please feel free to add in the comments, what surgery you've had, if you've had any, if you have anything you'd like to share as far as all kinds of good stuff, about yourself, share all that away, share away. So we do have some people already commenting. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Maricela. And I'm going to be jumping on the Facebook page here while we're getting ready here and be looking at comments there too. So please feel free to comment. So Rob and I met, gosh, I don't even know how far back it was, because I feel like I've seen you at so many different events now. It feels like maybe New Orleans. We were in.
I think the first one was
California?
the OSLP event in Portland. I think that was the first time that I met you. I think I could have met you before then, but that was the first big event that I went to.
And you're always such a pleasure to be around. You're always so much fun. Just always have a smile on your face, have a cheerful attitude, and you bring life to the party no matter where you go. So I'm so happy to have you.
Try.
So basically, Rob, I want to kind of just, like I said, say a little bit about you. I know that you're about 6 years out. Is that correct? As far as bariatric surgery?
Yes.
Yes. And you've kind of just really dove into your journey with so many pieces of kind of like just enhancing your own lifestyle. So we're talking about resistance training, yoga, cycling, HIIT, Pilates. And I know even like your mental health, and just really that's what we're going to be diving in today. I know you've done 2 bodybuilding shows, and that just takes a lot of determination. So we definitely want to hear a lot about that. At this point, I am going to go ahead and basically just kind of mute myself for a second, because I'm going to jump onto Facebook and see if we have comments there. And in the interim, let you do a more thorough introduction of yourself, what got you into having weight loss surgery, what your journey's been like, and go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So, I see the comments as well, so I could always answer those too. But so I had VSG back in December of 2018. Initially, I took off about 105 pounds. And then after that, it was about 115. That was with the competing and all of that. So total, it's been about 115 pounds down. So we're coming up on 6 years. And so I was exercising and moving before all of the surgeries. I was always trying to lose weight, and I always was pretty physically active. The diet never really matched up with the exercise. So finally I had the surgery and everything kind of aligned together. But what I did was that with the surgery, it just gave me the opportunity to start from scratch and essentially just learn to how to actually eat and eat the proper way. So it really just started within the first 6 months. And then those habits have obviously implemented into where we are today. Restriction has obviously increased or decreased. So I don't have that tight restriction from the beginning, but I still do have restriction. And I do obviously have to watch every single thing that I put into my body, even though I am working out pretty consistently now. But in the beginning, it started with HIIT training, yoga, Pilates, and just body weight movements, just to get me back into the rhythm and build the consistency. And then from there, I started competing in bodybuilding shows because there were other people that I saw were doing it that I followed on Instagram. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I've lost this weight. I'm at this point in my life. And a lot of people keep saying it. And it is one of those things where it's what is next for the journey? And bodybuilding was that. So I started going to the gym, and I did one show, and then I competed in the next. I know I'm kind of just going through and we'll touch back on all of this, but then after the 2 shows, I had plastic surgery. So I had hip to hip, the skin removed. And then from there, I've kind of just been living and learning to live a normal life in maintenance, and just staying consistent. I don't really like the word maintenance. It's kind of just built like living in consistency is really what I would like to put it. Um, Weight fluctuates, but my habits stay the same. I don't really go on the scale. It's not really of importance. And again, that ties back to the mental health. I'm not tying my worth to a number on the scale. So it's just been a journey, to say the least. But everything that I've learned over the last 6 years has helped me to where I am today. And like, it's given me the opportunity to also now help other people. So that's been a pretty cool plot twist in the journey. So there's just been a lot that's gone on over the last 6 years. But the one thing I will say is the consistency is my strong point, I would say.
I think consistency is probably one of the biggest things that I hear across the board, like just staying consistent, because we all have days that are better than others. Some days we seem to check all the boxes and all the things that we're wanting to do. And then other days we may not check hardly any or maybe none at all. But if you kind of just make it kind of, I don't know, maybe even the 80-20 rule of doing as much as you can, as often as you can, and giving yourself a little grace in between when you're not able to do all of those things that you let out to be. But you want to say anything about that? Because I know even showing up for the gym has to be hard some days.
Well, I think for me at this point, it is more of like I'm not there of course, it's great to look good, but I'm there for more of the mental health aspect of it. It makes me feel good, just releasing endorphins and showing up somewhere and doing it consistently every single day. And but yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say every day is perfect that I want to go and I'm so glad. And that's like, there is pressure sometimes. But for the most part, it makes me feel good. Has what's made my journey, in my opinion, of more success for myself, is just having that consistency in the gym and just continuing to show up and doing what I need to do. I don't know if that answered the question. I kind of like,
Yeah, definitely does. I'd love to even
yeah,
just start like let's kind of like talk about all of these little pieces that you just kind of brought up. Let's start like back when you first began your journey. And I actually have your Instagram page pulled up because you share your story so openly on that. Is it okay if I pull it up? Because some people might want to know what
oh,
you look like before, just to kind of. I know you have some little short videos and stuff. Is it okay for me to do that?
yeah, you could do, yeah, it's public. So you could do whatever you got to do. You're good.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, so Rob, you actually have two. You have this one and
Yeah. That main one is I mean, they're both me. They're pretty much similar content. I've been going through a shutdown and all of this unnecessary stuff on the back end. So that's why there are 2 pages right now. But yeah, I think that the 5th picture down would be obviously the most realistic one of the journey that was taken last week. So that's really what I look like. I do post other pictures from show day, near show day. And I do it because it's attainable, but obviously, of course, this is like the most realistic. But I think a big reason why I do post show day stuff is because it is possible. And it's like, I'm no one special. So if I can do it, somebody else can do it. And I think that's really cool for people to see that I came from there and went to there. And like, there's 2 very different ends of the spectrum.
so what was the main reason? I'll stop sharing here. What was the main reason that you decided to have weight loss surgery?
What was the main, you cut out? What did you say the main reason for what?
Yeah. What was the main reason that you decided to have weight loss surgery? What was the deciding factor? Because you're a young guy
Of
too.
having weight?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm 32. I had surgery when I was 20. You're asking me what was the determining factor of having surgery?
Yes.
So weight loss surgery was an option always. Obviously, of course, it started with the lap band, and there were people in my family who had the surgery and took off the weight, and I always struggled with obesity. It was something that just, again, it was the knowledge had never lined up with what I needed it to line up with, and I never really understood. Um, and I was probably like 16, maybe 15 years old, and I went to like a surgeon with my mom, and she brought me, and I think she just did it. I don't think at that point in my life I was even qualified to do it, but I think she just did it to show me like, okay, maybe you can do it on your own. And like when I went there, I saw like the bigger chairs and it scared me and like all this stuff. And we met with the surgeon and it just wasn't right at that time. But what brought me closer to this is like was always an option. And I felt like I was nearing, yes, I was also still on my death insurance at 26. So I knew that that was coming to an end and it just worked out perfectly with the way that I needed to. But for so many years, I tried diet and exercise. I'll say this now before, I always wonder what, like if I was able to accomplish what I have today without the surgery, but with the knowledge that I have. Um, and just getting into the gym and learning to eat the proper way and making sure that I'm consuming the right foods and enough of the right foods. But yeah, it led me to the point of I felt like I just couldn't do it on my own anymore at that point in my life. I needed the help. Surgery was an option. And I was there at like 285 or 290 pounds. And it wasn't getting any easier. And I knew getting older, it wouldn't get any easier as well. So that's kind of what made me decide to step into weight loss surgery and start looking at options through the doctors. So I was in Los Angeles at the time as well. So I found the doctor and was in surgery probably 6 months later.
So to answer your own question, do you think it would be different now, knowing what you know now? Like, do you think that because if you tried exercise, diet, how is it having weight loss surgery made it different for you?
I don't think that I truly understood nutrition. Whereas when I had surgery, I did, was because my doctor was like, okay, like let's start doing a shot. Well, I used a shot glass, but it was obviously an ounce, but it's like an ounce of protein and get that in 6 times a day, which built the habit for me to just start drinking or consuming something every 2 hours. And obviously having a protein goal as well. So learning to start tracking and understanding what I needed to be successful. And the weight just started coming off. And then the weight came off and I was still consistent in the habits. And as he told me to start adding things into the diet and trying different things, that's when I really understood. And then for me, I stepped into bodybuilding years later, but also I was adding carbs to the diet from the beginning, but I was kind of scared of it because a lot of surgeons, and not that my surgeon did it, but a lot of the information online was stay away from carbs, stay away from carbs. But if you're consuming the right amount of carbs and the right amount of fats and protein and working out, you're going to see the results. So that's what's led me into today. But prior to the bodybuilding and all of that, just when I was doing yoga and Pilates and all of those types of exercises, it was high protein. And that's what helped me take the weight off initially. And then obviously the consistency and the habits of over the years, it's things that I was able to do. And it wasn't something that felt like it was completely out of realm of what I'm able and capable of doing. So I think that's why also I've been so consistent over time, is because it's realistic habits that I implemented.
So, Rob, there is some questions coming in, and I'd love to kind of start getting into some of these too. But before we do that,
Sure.
I know now you help others learn about exercise and fitness too. Is that correct?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, people on Instagram were just asking me for help. And at one point I was like, this is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that became a part of my life. So yeah, I started working directly one-on-one with people, with gym routines and just understanding macros and just working towards hitting specific goals.
So is that something you still do? Is that something that you do in person or remotely or
So everything is remote. Everything, it's what I do full time now, actually. So that is my full time job, is working one on one with bariatric people. And also, I have a couple people that I work with that are not bariatric. And it's just the habits, the consistency, and building on that. Because that's what is most important at the end of the day, is just obtaining a meal plan, or not a meal. I don't do meal plans, but it's macros, but just learning more about food and protein and carbs and fats, and just understanding that your body does need a certain amount, regardless whether you've had surgery or not. We're still people at the end of the day. The only difference is that the restriction is way heavier, which means that you have to consume a bit more throughout the day, or more times throughout the day. And then just a gym routine. And it doesn't have to be something that is 6 days a week, not even 5 or 4. There are some people doing 3. Some people just aren't even in the gym, and it's more about taking intentional walks or movement or yoga, HIIT classes or Orange Theory or anything like that. But it's just building the consistency and the habit of what's realistic, because what's realistic for you might not be realistic for me, or vice versa. So it's not one size fits all. It's basically like, what works for you? What do you enjoy? What can you be consistent with? And how do we implement that into your life?
so Rob, if somebody was to work with you, what would that look like?
In the capacity, so basically there is Slack, which we have communication through. So it's 7 days a week, checking in once a week. And then again, it's finding what works for you. And let's just say that your Monday, Wednesday, Friday is good. So for gym days. So we'll set that up for the gym, making sure that you're hitting each body part throughout the week. And again, it just depends on the person specifically. I check in with people once a week, like full check in, where they're weighing themselves, taking pictures, so we can see the progress over time. Um, but the communication channel is open. So I'm constantly talking to people that I work with, which is really cool as well. Almost become, they do become friends, because it's like they start opening up about certain things, or there's aspects of their life that that they're super insecure about, but now they're becoming this different version of themselves. And stepping into the gym and creating that routine and seeing the results and looking good and feeling good, because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what it is. It's about looking good, feeling good, and the community and the support, in my opinion, through working with people. That's kind of what I've learned.
So one of these questions, Cynthia says she has a bad back and she has some bulging and slip disc. She's asking about joining a gym, and also she wants to know, like, what are the starting points? And I think that might be for a lot of people that are kind of getting into this, maybe the workout, or are interested. It's kind of scary when you first begin. So what would you say to somebody who
Mhm.
maybe has some health problems, whether it be back, knee, um, and then also, like, how to just even get started?
I would say do what you can. And if an exercise, like if you're hitting a specific exercise, like let's just say legs, and there's an exercise that's a bit more like more pressure on the back, and you're not feeling it and feel right, switch it up. There's so many different exercises for that muscle group. And if one doesn't feel good, what I usually do is I'll tell people to let me know. Like, let me know if there's something that hurts that's bothering you. If the exercise that we have planned is no good, we'll switch it up. The goal isn't to continue to hurt. The goal is just showing up, doing what you have to do, and leaving feeling good and feeling accomplished. There are some people that just can't physically lift a specific amount because of an injury, but it's not putting the pressure on that specific injury, if that makes sense.
So whether you have back issue, or we have somebody asking about knee, Enid saying if you have an issue with the knee, I mean, it could really be anything, an arm, a shoulder, anything that's like that. So if you notice that you're having pain, just modify basically.
Modify the exercise or switch up the exercise. Cause again, there's multiple different exercises that you can do for that one specific one. And it also might be a form issue. And a lot of the times people tend to overlift and compensate the form. So that just like in turn kind of just hurts them even more when they don't even realize it. When like some people might be extending their arms too far or not close enough or not the right exercise the right way. And then they're overlifting because they see the person next to them with, let's just say 50-pound dumbbells. They're going to pick up 50 because they see them doing it. And it's just hurting them overall. I would say, but for a beginner, it's starting off on the machines, starting off where there's a reducing the risk of injury is on a machine and finding the weight that works. And it's better to start off lower weight and steadily increase and find that weight rather than just jump into these high numbers, hurt yourself. So it just depends on the level of activity. But I think just walking through the door and getting on the treadmill and just starting a walk and getting comfortable, getting through the door is a huge win in itself. And I know that a lot of people struggle with that. It's also something that I've struggled with as well. Because I was doing the classes, everything was guided. I didn't know anything about the gym. And then I started bodybuilding and I was given a plan and I was given the videos to see how to do the exercise. And I really kind of learned all on my own throughout watching people, throughout watching videos and just continuing to show up, because every time I show up, I learned something new. Even now to today, like I'm not perfect. There's no like perfect journey. I'm still learning different exercises. I'm still perfecting the form. It's still mind muscle connection. So that for me is most important, is making sure the form is there and I'm not ego lifting and overlifting and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Have another question here, and it kind of goes along with the same thing with the pain. Laura says, post-op Sadie as patient here, also having difficulty going to the gym as I've had arthritic pain and chronic back pain. It's difficult for me to even walk over a couple minutes without being in excruciating pain to the point it feels like my hip will go out. Any tips on advice on how to incorporate more activity? And I know Angie also mentioned swimming and water aerobics. If you're having issues. So any comments you want to say on any of that?
Swimming is great. It takes the weight off of your entire body and you're just kind of swimming through. Great exercise. I would say stretch first as well. Stretching definitely helps. If being on a machine, again, like if you have arthritis and it's painful to be on the machines and pushing these weights, you don't want to hurt yourself, is like that. Start off in also like a yoga class, a beginner yoga class where you're stretching and getting flexibility and building muscle from your own body weight. That's where I personally started. And it's what helped me the most too, because you're engaging your entire body. So doing exercises like that is what's most helpful. Again, I think it comes down to, I think everybody thinks that you need, to build muscle the way that I personally lift, or like the bodybuilding aspect, of course you need to be in the gym, but to be lean and fit and like healthy and in good shape, there's so many different exercises that you can do, or there's so many different ways of doing certain things. So it's finding what you love and finding what makes you feel good. And that might not be an overnight process. That definitely takes time. But it's figuring out what you could be consistent with and what makes you feel good and accomplished.
You talked a little bit about the mental health piece, and I know there's been several people comment that that's definitely, like, being in the gym is definitely a good release for, having those endorphins and feeling just a little better, feeling a little brighter. On Facebook here, Bill says, discuss the role of flexibility and balance. Most people focus on weights or cardio.
It depends on the goal. Of course, if somebody's trying to lose weight, they think that they have to like run into the gym and do this excessive amount of cardio. It's not true, getting in and doing 20 minutes is enough. Weight training is enough as well. It's a balance between the both of them. I would recommend saying to lift first, like get on the treadmill, do walk, like just warm the, like get the blood flowing, then start lifting. And then after you're done lifting, time on the cardio machine. And it doesn't need to be running. I do low intensity. So I'm maintaining muscle, but I'm burning fat. So I'm not on the treadmill running at a speed of 8. I'm on an incline and then a speed of like 3.4. Or going on the stairs and doing a moderate walk or a moderate stair climb. It's nothing too intense, but it's the time and the length. And again, the goals and making sure that, because diet is, I would say 90%. You have to make sure that you're eating the right food in order to lose weight, but also to build muscle. And that does come with a breakdown, in my opinion, of macros and understanding. And it doesn't have to be a perfect tracking every single day. I think it's just more along the lines of understanding how much protein that you should be consuming in a day, or how many carbs that you should be consuming. Because a lot of what I also tend to see is people undereat on carbs, and then they feel fatigued. They don't feel like they have energy. They feel like they can't push through their workouts. But that's due to the fact that you're not eating carbs. So you're not getting that main source of energy. So it makes it a goal to get through a workout when you're tired. But eating before a workout, or making sure that you're eating throughout the day the right amount, in my opinion, is what's going to help you build the muscle and lose the weight. And that's also when I saw my body completely transform. Furthermore than like the weight gain, the muscle building. My body just it was like a recomposition. And I looked from like this, like almost skinny fat type of look, more to like a fuller look. And it wasn't so much like more of the fat was being burned when I added the carbs. So it was an interesting transition, going from no carbs, less fat, and like body weight work into the gym and eating carbs. So it's understanding how much to actually eat and moving your body, of course.
So, Rob, that kind of goes into one of these questions. They're talking about macros. Like when you're working with a client or doing this for yourself, what do you focus on? Because somebody says, I've been trying to build muscle for the past 3 years. I'm 3 years post-op with little or no visual change in my body composition. I'm guessing it's my macros. Would you say that there's a good chance that that's the case? Because I've seen people who've been in the gym for years and years, and you don't see any body composition changes.
Yeah, it comes down to the diet. That's really what it comes back to, is just making sure that you're consuming the right amount of food. Because undereating is just as bad as overeating. Your body like as human beings, we need a specific amount of food in our diet. It doesn't matter whether you've had surgery or not. So it's just making sure that you're consuming enough protein, your carbs aren't excessive, your fats aren't excessive. So it's just understanding food. And again, it doesn't need to be something like, when I work with people, I don't work with them saying like, of course, at first track every day, learn, understand. That's how you build the habit and the consistency. But as you continue to go, you see, okay, this is near what the amount of protein I should be eating. And fats are the main source of overweight. Like being overweight is a high level of fat with carbs. So that's why there's a huge misconception that carbs are bad for you. But it's the fats. It's the excess of fat and carb together and not hitting the protein. Because a lot of people tend to not hit the protein. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because there are days for sure that I'm not hitting a carb or a protein goal or something like that. But for the most part, I am. So I would say, yeah, it's the protein goal, it's the carb goal, it's the fat goal. It's just understanding, and also just getting into the gym and lifting, because people think there's also a misconception of just like going in and lifting and doing 10 to 12, but it's like you have to push yourself like in order to really build muscle, and it takes a significant amount of time.
So somebody's asking, so on that, what you're saying is basically pay attention to the macros, and who would they, like if they're wanting to find out that information for themselves, is there any basic recommendations that you would give, or just have them trip to the dietitian, or what would you say about that?
I mean, there's information online, like a TDEE calculator. A nutritionist can help. I don't know so much about and again, I think there's more like in the clinics of the bariatric nutritionist, I think is a bit different than the ones that are online on Instagram who have had the surgery and understand that there are bigger aspects. So I think there's so many like nutritionists that I personally follow on Instagram that I've met throughout this surgery journey. But I think in the clinics, some, not all, have a different recommendation. I think the issue with this surgery is me, when I went as a 26-year-old man, is getting the same diet as a 70-year-old female. And they'll go back to the same thing. So it's like, all right, hit your 80 grams of protein. Whereas like, I eat 190 grams. So like you're telling me to eat half of what I'm supposed to eat. Whereas now I'm eating double. But that's what I'm supposed to be eating based off of what I know. And then also now with the goal that they're giving. But what I would recommend is TDEE. When I work with people, I don't push the restriction. We get the surgery for a reason. We're not trying to push on the restriction. So it's, again, focusing primarily on the protein. And then when you have the room and make the room, making sure that you're eating the carbs because you do need it. Huge source of energy. It's going to help you build the muscle that you're looking to build. And again, in the fats, understanding fats and making sure that you're not over consuming them and understanding what foods are best to be eating. Because you might think that you're eating a little bit of fat here, a little bit of fat there. It's not so bad. But then when you add it up in a day, you're double. And not like, again, everybody's a bit different. So it's hard to answer these questions because everybody is so individualized. Whereas there are people who do keto, so that's reversed. So it's a higher fat, lower carb, but it's same protein goal. So again, it just comes back to the fact of what works best for you.
How about somebody's asking, who should we try to talk to help us with exercise? Like, obviously, Rob, you help people, but in the general public, is there, what would you say to that?
There might be trainers at the gym. I'm sure if you asked somebody in person, they would be very willing to help. I know that I talk, like when I'm in the gym, there are people that will come up to me and I've had conversations with people. But if you're looking for the individualized help, I think getting a coach is definitely like, or a personal trainer, whatever works for you is what's going to be most important. It just depends on the person. Like I know for myself, going in as a beginner, I just went in with a coach. I went in because I was competing. I got the routine and I just started doing everything on my own and really learning. Whereas other people need a trainer. It depends on even how you show up for yourself. Some people need that accountability to show up that somebody's going to be waiting for them. Or some people are okay with, okay, I just need a bit of help. I need the right routine. Let's put that together. I have an hour, 3 days a week. I need the best thing for me. Again, going over injuries, making sure that we're not pushing on injuries and making sure that everything is consistently good. So that's to me, but outside of that, I personally don't know of any like help guide outside of not having a coach or a trainer.
I
YouTube
feel like those
videos.
two things, yeah, I feel like those two things are super helpful because what happens is if I found myself like I've worked out probably on and off my whole life. And this year I actually hired a trainer. I go 4 days a week for the last probably 6 months. And I can see major changes like in my body composition, in my body fat, in my muscle, all of those things. And I think it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't doing things necessarily right because I would go in, get on the machines, do things, but just having somebody who's like looking at your form, somebody that's pushing you to the next level, because there's always times you're scared to kind of move on to the next thing, to lift more weight or to do a certain exercise. And maybe also knowing what body parts to work as opposed to just doing kind of the same routine over and over, because sometimes your body just gets used to that too.
And that's what it's about as well, is it's switching up the routine and sticking to that. So what I do is I do every 10 weeks. Everybody's getting a new plan every 10 weeks. Um, and the form, it's sticking to that same plan and just learning and enhancing. And yes, some people don't know when to move up in weight. But what I say is that if you're doing, let's just say you're doing like a bench press and you're at 100 pounds and you're hitting your rep ranges between 10 and 12, and you're doing 12, 12, 12 for those 3 sets, it's time for you to move up. If you're doing not like 10, 9, 7, go down in weight because you're not able to reach the range of muscle building reps. So it just depends. Like there's so many factors, so many little factors, but those little factors make the difference. And I think that's even kind of going back to your point of what you said is like you show up now and you have the trainer who's giving you those small minor details, or pushing you a bit harder than you would have pushed yourself. And it's not much of the changes, but it's just those little changes that you've made are now the difference of what you're seeing.
Okay. I'm trying to go back and forth from Facebook to Zoom. I do have somebody who says, he says, Charles here at age 74, what am I getting myself into? I don't know if he means weight loss surgery or if he means exercise, but I feel like just like easing into it, not feeling overwhelmed is a big factor. Like sometimes it's about taking one baby step at a time. Like if it's nutrition that's scary to you, find someone to help you with that. If it's fitness that's scary to you, find someone to help you with that. If it's mindset that you need help with, find somebody, find support in the areas that you need support because it is. And if it's surgery, maybe surgery itself is scary for some people. Find more information on that. Get over the fear of whatever it is that you're scared about.
Well, I think building, and I think I just started working with a girl recently, actually, and she is saying to me that she's just building a team around herself because she realizes that she just can't do it all on her own. And that comes down to the gym and having a gym routine that works for her and understanding food. And a lot more, it's a lot more than just like the gym and the nutrition, because you do reach, and this is part of the mental health aspect of it all, is like you do reach a point where like people would look at me and say, and I hear it and I've heard it and it's said and it will continue to be said, but that I'm the standard or I'm the goal or I'm this. And I don't believe that. I thank you, but I don't believe it. It's like, because for me, it's like reaching a goal weight or reaching a goal physique, sure. But there's a lot more of the mindset that goes behind this. So I thought that when I lost my weight that I'd be happy. And I wasn't happy because I was like, what do I do now? Because I've lost this weight and I'm still unhappy. Like I look good. I'm happy with the result that I've done, but I'm not what I thought it was. And that goes into the gym. And the same thing there. It's like I go to the gym right now, and this is realistic for me. So I'm not saying anybody needs to do this in order to do what I do, but I go 6 days a week. But I go because it's more of a mental health aspect for me. I like showing up somewhere. I like moving weight. I make the time for it. It is what's most important for me, but that doesn't make me happy by the 7th day. Again, very, very proud of myself for the consistency that I built, but it's just so much more than like the nutrition and the working out and all. Like it's so much more mental and so much more support. And even I've learned that through this journey and the retreats and going on these things is like everybody's in the same boat. And it's given me the opportunity to, first and foremost, I've been doing this for 6 years. I've been on Instagram for 6 years. So I started 6 years ago and I didn't know any male that was on here. So I kind of created that not personality, but I just shared my journey. And it's kind of allowed me to, first and foremost, allow other men to like speak up and connect with. But now it's like the community aspect of it. And the retreats are getting larger and these events are getting larger with men, and men are starting to really show up and speak about their journeys and speak about mental health. And it's given me, like, as much as it helps them to be a part of these communities, it also helps me because it allows me to speak about it and also just start the conversation. I kind of went on a tangent with that, but yes, it's, yeah, I just feel like it's further more than just the food and the nutrition. There is a huge mental health aspect behind it, and it's all of us. And
Well,
it's,
and I
I mean,
think
not
that's yeah, I
what,
think that's why people are attracted to you though too, as far as your following and people that like listening to your story because you are authentic and you're yourself and you share your journey, in ways that maybe a lot of other people don't. And the men aspect, there's not a lot of men out there that are sharing their story. And I definitely want to get into more about the bariatric retreat because I know you're going to be speaking at that and we want to hear more. I'm going to do two more questions because there's so many.
yeah.
Let me just browse through
Before you
them.
jump in, like,
Yeah.
yeah, while you browse, I'm just going to touch on this. It's been really cool too. Like I said, I've done this for 6 years. So there are men that have just throughout the years, and I've met in person now at this point too, where it's like, I saw you doing this and it just helped me. And it's why I'm where I'm at, or it's why I share certain aspects. And again, I'm not taking any kind of full credit for anything because, of course, but even just the thought that somebody had that my page kind of helped push them to speak about it or post their gym videos or their meals or help them start the conversation to now attract like their tribe to them is really cool. So that's why going to these retreats is really cool because at the end of the day, it's like I just throw up a post. I kind of like create the picture, write the caption, toss it up. Yes, I get comments, but it's the people who don't comment or it's the people who just like kind of follow through and just watch um, that it makes impact on. So it's cool to see that in real life.
It's like a ripple effect. You never know where it's going to go, could be just
Yeah,
sometimes it's just a smile or seeing somebody that's doing something in their life that makes a change and it just inspires you to think, "Oh, I can do that. If somebody else did it, I can do that too."
100%.
Um,
Absolutely.
okay. There's a lot of questions about carbs and your normal diet and how to get over a plateau. Um, yes. So carbs, simple sugars, plateaus, and a daily day's diet. That covers about 5 or
Yeah.
6 different questions.
Yeah. So I just saw something like the fear of food, overcoming that. It's one of those things where it's just when you learn it, you understand it and you know. So it takes that like anxiety or that fear away. When you understand and know that you're eating the right amount. I do still struggle with a lot of overcoming this, or I do struggle with binge eating at times or even late night eating and not eating the right things. So again, it's one of those things where it's a continuous journey of learning and understanding, but also it's like the relationship with food is not perfect and probably will never be perfect just because it's something that I struggle heavy with, but it's something that I do pay attention to every day. And it's understanding again, like I know the carbs, it goes like go into carbs and just understanding carbs. And yes, I personally, again, I work out 6 days a week, even for 5, whatever it is, you need to consume a certain amount based on what you're doing. So carbs, I mean, I eat bagels at times. I eat English muffins. I put things with wraps. I eat rice. Um, Again, it's like the combination, like let's just say like a bacon, egg, and cheese. When you go to like these places and they are heavily loaded with bacon, which adds an immense amount of fat, and they're putting it on bread, and you're consuming that with hash browns, and then for the next meal, you're eating something really bad too. So it's just understanding what you're eating and balancing that. I don't believe that you should cut anything out completely. When I eat a Reese's, I'm eating a Reese's, and I'm not being unfair to myself by eating something that tastes not good. I'm gonna eat what I want to eat, but I'm not eating it every day. I'm not eating it every week. And that goes for ice cream as well. It comes down to just understanding and balance for me and for the people that I work with, because helping them monitor, like go over that. And I don't think it's anything that you'll hurdle over. I think it's just something you'll continuously learn and be more mindful of it.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying with that is to like look at like balance it out, like look at what you're eating, like each I would say even just each meal, like focus on what you're eating and if you need some carbs for that meal, then you need some carbs, like look at the overall package of how much protein you're getting in and is that what you're kind of saying?
And that and that's what it comes down. Yeah. I mean, to bring it down, yeah, at the end of the day, every meal or throughout the day, you need to consume a certain amount. It just depends on the goal and what you're looking to attain. So it's hard to like answer these questions just because somebody might just be doing nothing and just walking. Whereas you don't need that many carbs. But if you're in the gym trying to build muscle, like you do need a significant amount of carbs in order to build muscle on top of protein and fat. So it becomes a complex topic based on a whole. But when you break it down into the person specifically, it's just monitoring that and adjusting those numbers over time. Like you'll always need to I'll always need to eat 190 grams of protein. And I don't say that just because I want somebody who's watching or listening to go eat 190 grams because I do. I know that that's what works for me and my body based on, first of all, what I'm supposed to be eating, but also what I've been doing. And that's the same for carbs and fats. And it is adjusted based on the goal. So if I'm trying to put on muscle, like right now, I'm at a pretty lean, low state. I'm not consuming that many carbs. I wanted to lose weight. So my fat and carb is down. My protein's still the same. A year ago, my carbs were a bit higher. So like I brought it down because I want to feel good. I want to look good. And not that I don't look and feel good when I'm eating the other way, but it's just more in my head. Again, mental health and all of that. So it's touching on that.
Right. And I think you answered this. Do you use the gym more for the mental health aspect now in maintenance than in building? You kind
Both.
of did. Yeah.
It's both. And I love building a body and I love the way pushing weight feels. Um, there's always room for improvement, regardless of what you look like. That's why there's never a destination. So I'm happy, I'm satisfied. But again, I think it comes back, and it does come back to the mental health. Like I was away this weekend for a wedding and there were two machines of cardio and then they had dumbbells and the dumbbells went up to 25. And like that to me is not enough, but I made it work because it wasn't about lifting heavy and pushing of course I'll always push myself or try and figure out how to push my body in the way that I can with what's available. So before the wedding, I went to the gym and I did cardio and I felt good and I lifted some weights and I felt better. And it made me have a good day. And I struggle with anxiety. I'm not medicated or anything like that, but I use the gym for mental health and it makes me feel good. So I haven't gone today. I will be going after this, but it's one of those things where I know even for retreat, and I know we're going to touch on this, it's like I need to make sure that I have my workout routine in place. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just showing up and doing something because that makes me feel good.
Right. We're going to jump into retreat. There's one on hair loss. You have a full head of hair, Rob. Any suggestions on that? Have you struggled with that?
Um, so in the beginning of my journey, I'm pretty sure I lost hair. I did the biotin chewables. I bought the biotin shampoo and conditioner. When I had short hair, I didn't realize it was falling out. I'm actually I have longer hair now. And now I'm realizing that it's falling out, but I'm pretty sure that's like a normal thing to fall out. But they say that hair loss happens within the first 6 months. After that, you go back to it grows. My personal opinion of why it falls out to begin with, again, is just lack of nutrition. And again, making sure that you're taking your vitamins and making sure that your vitamins are consistent as well, because that's the whole reason is the replacement of the food is for the vitamins. And when you're eating the right amount, your hair just starts to grow And I know that there's so many people who go through this. And it's like when you're hitting that protein goal, again, it comes back to the food, but when you're hitting the protein goal, your hair is not falling out as much as it is if you're lacking these macronutrients. But yes, I took the, I know that people have used collagen. Collagen works. I know that I took biotin chewables at first. That worked for me. I don't know if it worked. Actually, I'm going to backtrack. I don't know if it fully worked because I just took it. I don't know what it would have been like if I didn't take it, but I'm sure it did something. And just making sure you're eating enough. Because there are times this surgery helps you not eat as much. So there have been times where like I haven't really consumed as much as I'd like to. And I found that my hair does sometimes fall out, but that might just be, again, one of those natural things where your hair naturally just falls out. I don't have
I feel like that. Yeah, no, there's that first year, there's so many things that happen in the body. And I think sometimes even if we don't do a whole lot of extra things like to make our hair quote grow back, I feel like in time, your body readjusts. I mean, number one, the stress of the surgery, your diet changes, the anesthesia, you've had metabolic changes. So I think there's a lot, but I'd say sometimes just even being patient, you can use products like Rob said, but a little bit of patience. Were you going to say something else, Rob?
Yeah, like you said, no, just like there are a lot of factors. And that's part of this all is there's so many factors that go into these things like hair loss or the gym or building, like there's a bunch of different factors. But it's just finding what works and then going back to like just making sure you're eating enough and the vitamins, and just doing what you can to control it, I think is what's most important. And if you did lose hair, it might not come back to what you was before, or it might come back to that, so it's not putting pressure on perfection or like what you would perceive to be perfect or comparing your results to somebody else. Cause I did that for some time and it's just not. And the worst part about it is I wasn't even comparing myself to bariatric people. I was comparing myself to people who struggled with like gaining weight and have gone like are at the gym and building weight. And it's like, I look at myself and I'll see like an extra skin popping out here, or this doesn't sit right here. And I'm like, but the person next to me looks great, but they never went through what I went through. I think that touches on just like the comparison is theft. Like it's just theft of joy. And it's just doing what you can and showing up.
We still have a ton of questions, but I want to get into the bariatric retreat because there's a retreat coming up that Rob is going to be a part of, and he actually a big part of because I know you were saying that you're a keynote speaker for two events. You're on a panelist, and then you're doing also two workouts. So tell us a little bit about that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I have added your how to find you on socials, but I'm going to also add the Bariatric Society link in case anybody's interested in knowing more about that. So tell us about this.
Yeah. So Instagram, like anything before I get into all that, any questions or anything that anybody has, obviously outside of right now, I'm available on Instagram. Just reach out to me. I have 2 pages. Both of them lead to me. I control both of them. But for the retreat, I'm going to start off the gym. We have the 2 gym days. So myself and Rob D'Amelio, My Weight is History, will be there. So we're leading the workouts for 2 days. We haven't fully figured out exactly what we're doing, but we will be there and we will have it figured out on the day of. And then I have 2 panels. One of the panels is bodybuilding after bariatrics, which I'm actually very excited about. We went live last night for a bit talking about that. So that's going to be something that's going to be a really, really good conversation. And it's not so much of the bodybuilding and competing. I think it's just, again, what we've been kind of covering is the nutrition aspect of things and just understanding and building that way. And then what is the other panel? Oh, navigating life on social media. I don't know exactly what that panel is yet. I'm not leading that one, so I will just be there, but it's going to be a very good panel. I know that's just, I guess, talking about navigating life through social media. And I think part of what mine is, and the topic is how I built this page and I built a business on it. And over the last month and a half, 2 months, it's been shut down 3 times. And that's just due to mass reporting. So when you're on this platform and you have this voice and you're building a business, that was taken away so fast, which is why I have this second page. So I had to start that page just to make sure that the people who do really want to hear from me or like follow my journey have the opportunity to, regardless if that page stays up or not. So that'll be really cool. And then the best for last, keynote. So this is a huge, huge opportunity. Very nervous for it. Even now, I'm not a public speaker. It's not my thing, but I step into this person. And this is part of the growth of just overall, like on the journey. Yes, you lose the weight, you go through bodybuilding, you do X, Y, and Z, but my life is taking me into like a more stepping on stage or talking directly here on these podcasts. And it's not my comfort zone. But yeah, the keynote I will be doing on my own. The topic of that one is stepping into your truth after bariatric surgery. And for most people, I think everybody steps into a different version of themselves after this surgery. It's a continuous stepping into. But for me, I publicly or personally came out as gay to my family and friends. And then I came out on Instagram. And during that time was when all of the panels were being released. And I remember talking to somebody and I was just like, this would be a really cool experience to be able to share this with people, because it's something that people do struggle with. And it's something that people have reached out to me and have spoken about even after all of this, or even after I've shared it. And I know that there have been men, specifically people that I've worked with and people that are just on Instagram who have came out to their friends and family. And I'm 32. I did this at 30. And it's a continuous process right now. I don't think there'll ever be a big misconception is people just think that I'm straight, and not that that's a bad thing. I just don't it's just not black and white to see. But I think it's, again, just raising the voice for those people who felt or feel that they need to hide. Because I remember being at JBY in, I think it was the second one, the first one, second one? No, the second one. And they had a men's panel and there was a guy on there. And this is before I publicly came out to anybody. And he was sitting there and he was talking about it. And I remember like being like, wow, this is really, really cool that he's like open about this. Needless to say, I will be there for talking about my journey of what life was like before surgery, what it was like after having the surgery, because a lot of this has transpired because of the surgery. And I do think that my weight loss and my surgery has pushed me to step into this person and be this person and vocalize it and gain the confidence and build the confidence. Because it was like that ripple effect. It was like I was heavier, had no and again, I'll kind of get into this while I'm there, but just a little brief of it. But there was no confidence. And I also lost a parent when I was younger. So like a lot of that was dealing with all of this. And that's part of the weight gain and then losing the weight and being able to just live in a different state. So I live in New Jersey and I grew up in New Jersey, but I was in California. And if anyone knows California, I was in LA, in West Hollywood. And West Hollywood is probably one of the gayest areas. And I just went there nameless, faceless, like nobody knew who I was. And I gained this attention and I was just understanding it and navigating it, and got to a point where I just got back to New Jersey and just things happened. And again, it allowed me to just step into myself and own it. Most importantly, because again, this is the first, I know I'm just speaking to you, but I know that there's people watching. I know that there's people that are listening after this. So this is publicly the first time that I have spoken those words. So one of those things, but I'm very excited to share that. And again, it's just one, I hope that one person listening will be like, okay, cool. Like he did it. I can do it. I'm no one special. I never was anybody special. And I'm also not anybody special, but I'll continue to share my truth because I hope that it helps somebody else. So yes, I will be at the retreat. It's the 7th to the 10th. I'm sure I see that you gave the code or the website. My code is Rob Motivation. I'm sure yours is ProCare. Men, if there's men on here that had the surgery and are not signed up for the retreat and would like to, please come. It's so cool. It's such a good opportunity to just, you feel like yourself and you feel like these people are relatable. And even if it's just not like, even if you're talking to a 70-year-old, 80-year-old, or a 50-year-old woman, there have been conversations that I've had, and it's just, it makes you feel good because it's like the relatability of what you went through and how your struggles line up with theirs. And obesity is a common denominator, and this journey is a struggle. But when you're sitting in a room full of 300 people, 400 people, 500, and everybody went through the same thing, and you see these people show up and first and foremost going to workouts and going to the pool and going to the fashion shows and just doing these things, it's like, it's really cool to watch. And it's really cool to actually be a part of. So I do recommend coming if you do not have a ticket.
Well, and I think you got a point there too. It's like you never know who you're going to connect with. It could be anybody, just making a new friend or whatever. I can remember at one event, Rob, when you and I was together, it was in New Orleans, and it was a Bells at the Ball or something. I don't know. It was some kind of like some like smaller event. And I remember just sitting and talking to you and like you were so present and you were like so kind and just I don't know. I just remember that conversation and thinking, Rob is genuine, and Rob is a wonderful person just to talk to. And you never know when you're going to find those connections for yourself. And this year, I know Rob was inviting you men out there because a lot of times these events, there is a lot of women, but I will say you're really working along with a lot of the other men in the community to get many men at these events because it's nice to be able to talk and have community with other people who are in that same boat. So,
and that's part of it too. And I appreciate that. And there's just so many conversations and this is part of why I love going, is because I'm not a very vocal person on my page. I'll share my journey and I do it in the best way comfortable possible for me, because for me, again, it goes back to the consistency. I'd rather be posting pictures every day with captions than speaking to the phone. So it gives me the opportunity to go have conversations with people like you or anybody else. And it's funny. I'm going to toss this in just because I have to. There was somebody who came up to me last year, and it was a negative comment. And she was like, I didn't even come up to you because I didn't think that I would think that you would be worth having a conversation with. And that's kind of changed the direction of a lot of what I've done. And now, and like showing up on something like this, it's like, yes, even if it's 10 people or one person who thought that I was not a nice person or that I'm not worth having a conversation with, it's like, no, I'm just a person. Like, people think the way that my success after this surgery has placed this, like, you think you're better than everybody else. It's not. I will sit down and have a conversation literally with anybody. I will talk to a wall, and it's like, I don't treat people differently because of their weight or because of the Instagram following. That all to me has come with just the consistency. It's not anything that I wear on my it's not a badge that I put on my forehead. It's like, respect me because of this. Like, there were so many women, even the last time that I like had conversations with, and even men at the retreats. And it's just really cool to just have those conversations and normalize and just show that like I'm more than an Instagram picture. I'm more than abs. I'm more than like that type of like, and I am worth having a conversation with. So that's why all of these presentations and even being here right now and being in San Diego and taking on sitting up there and literally sharing the darkest of my life, because that literally is what that is. And I can't even sugarcoat that. But getting up there and talking about the dark and how dark it really was, hopefully will give people an insight into like, I am worth that. And having those conversations and just opening the door for other people. So that's that of that.
Yeah, and you never know, like, it's so easy to judge other people, like, what you think that they are, but it's really it's not always what you think. Like, it is definitely not always what you think, and really those judgments are more your own judgments of yourself than they are other people maybe that you need to get over. So, I don't know. It is scary getting out there and putting yourself out there, but, you never know who you're gonna help or what's gonna be in between, and, um,
It
I
is,
am
and 10
going
times out of 10, putting yourself in those positions will help you overcome and grow as a person. And I know that these things, like for me, even having to show up in person in general is a scary feeling. And I know that there's a lot of people who struggle with making the decision to do these events because of just going there and feeling so out of their element. But when you go and you're there, it's so much fun. And getting up on stage, not going to be fun. I wouldn't not use the word fun, but it's giving me the opportunity to grow as a person. And even with Laura just commenting, like, for sharing my perspective, like, appreciate you for even listening and being here. And again, it's one of those things, that's just what I want to do, is just share my perspective and normalize, like, even for men, guys, like women too, 100% women always, but more importantly, men, is like, because I am a man and like I am speaking for that from that perspective. And I had these struggles, whereas like, you don't have to struggle. And if you're struggling, you don't have to struggle alone. There's so many people out there that you can talk to and just sit around and BS with and just share your journey. And it just makes it easier to deal with. And it normalizes it too, more importantly.
absolutely, and you never know who's gonna need whatever you have to share. You just never know. So, oh, that's so much wonderful information, Rob. I just truly appreciate you being here and, sharing your own journey and being vulnerable to be able to and being willing. I know for myself, I do these all the time, and also spoke on many different conferences and things like that, but I know that I still have fear. Like this last weekend, I had a event that I went to and was a speaker, and each time I'm still kind of like get it like a little jittery and nervous, and it's just about putting yourself out there. In January of this year, which I'll be sharing about here soon on these platforms in January, I'm going to be doing a 12-week class on holistic techniques. It's always been one of my passions in life, and it's going to be on meditation, just really all kinds of energy work because I'm like super passionate about that. And it's been kind of hard for me. I'm creating it and I keep having these like little roadblocks. I have to stop and take a deep breath because I'm like, okay, I have so much to share because I've studied this for almost 20 years. And it's like it's putting yourself out there because it's a different kind of realm. So I get it. I get it.
It's a new version of who you are, and you're sharing that with somebody else. But at the end of the day, that's going to attract such a different audience of people. And even for myself, like, I don't really meditate, but I do the intentional breath work and I do go to yoga. So, I mean, I guess that is a form of meditation, but that's huge for mental health. And that's also, and therapy and just all of these things and just combining it all. It's just super, super helpful for everybody. So that's
Yeah, you
really
never know
cool that you're
what's
actually
gonna
doing
go.
that. And that, I'd love to hear more about that. I know you probably, if you
Yes.
can better now, but definitely listen for that and that information, because that is very, very cool.
Oh, well, thanks, Rob. Yes, definitely. I'll share more with you and I'll share more with this whole group as I kind of put everything out there. I just got everything kind of created and creating now the classes and all of that. So I'm really pumped about it. So definitely have more conversations. Um, and I'm going to kind of like pop onto the ProCare website too, because ProCare is our sponsor. And you've been such a big ProCare supporter. And I know you've actually been sharing part of your journey about ProCare. So as I pop on there, tell me what your favorite, I guess I'm going to say products or your favorite part, because I know there's different products that you use. Somebody had asked about what supplements you use.
Yeah. So I use ProCare. I overall, I think really what has brought me in was like, even for you, when I saw you at one of the retreats, I think it was one of the first retreats, and we get those like little goodie bags. And I've had other vitamins in the past. I like the ones that like the chewables. I like the way that they taste. And for me, sometimes it's like that sweet treat. Honestly, I've put this in a video, but they cut it just for the length of time. But I would sometimes eat like two of them or like three of them because they're like tasty. But those are the ones that I like go towards, is like the calcium chews. I do like those. There's salted caramel, I think, is one of the flavors that I love. Um, and then there's a green one I don't like, but that's I think it's just the flavor within it. But I don't, what flavor is it? Definitely the salted caramel is
It's
always
probably the
on my.
mocktails. The mocktails has a green. It's funny
Yes.
because it's the mocktail green is a gin and tonic, and some people are in love with it and some people hate it. It's so funny. It's kind of
It's a
one of those
love or hate
things.
one, but yeah, that one is good. And I also started doing, well, I have always done it, but protein overnight oats. And I will take like, and I think we just shared that video this week or last week. I think it was this week, where I'll take a protein, like I'll do the chocolate or the vanilla. I'll do a scoop into protein powder. I'm sorry, into oats, and then mix it with almond milk. And then I'll like you could toss berries on top of it. You can toss like nuts on top of it, whatever like you want, but it's a good way to get protein in. And it also, the consistency of the protein, there's a lot of like brands that are just chalky and gross, but this one's soft. So it kind of just goes right into the oats and into the milk and mixes really well. So that's something that I've been enjoying. Um, the swallow, like the regular pill form, that's just pill form. But again, I feel good. So like there's something going on that's working with the vitamins. And it's, again, one of those things of the consistency and the habit, as so many people tend to fall off or don't really take their vitamins, but it is so, so, so important. Um, and that's one of the things that I've done after surgery. I have not given, like, once I was right, like, because I think that there's a grace period, I think a month or 2 months, that you're not able to take any kind of vitamins, and then you're able to start. That's what my doctor did, at least. Every doctor is a bit different. But yeah, it's one of those things that I take every day. I have to. It's like a part of, it's like brushing my teeth, going to the gym. It's that consistency and that habit, that daily habit that I need to do every day. So, and when it tastes good, it definitely helps, because it's not like you're like eating a pill that tastes like garbage. Like I'm sorry, the Flintstone ones have that, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a penny. It tastes like a weird taste. It's not something
Medicine kind of
enjoyable.
taste.
Yeah. Whereas
Well,
like the calcium,
I'll pull up some of Rob. So Rob, you said on the bariatric multivitamins, you like the chews, which I will pull up here real quick, which is the soft chews. You like those?
there was one that was, I think it was the one that if you go down, it's on the second row. They were like they were I think it was that multivitamin, the chewable fruit punch. Those were good too. Different consistency than the calcium chews or any of the chews, but it was like more of like that They're good though.
And then
Those are done. I actually need to order
calcium
more.
supplements. And
Yeah.
then the calcium supplements, you
But
talk
that
about
fruit
the
punch
mocktails.
is good. Yeah.
Oops.
Um, that
And
soft
then the
chew of the
proteins.
cinnamon roll
Oh,
were
this
very
one.
good.
Okay. Cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
And then
And
the
the
proteins,
Dinnerman
the
was good.
powders.
All three of those, by the way, all three of those flavors, I know you don't have to go back, but all three of those flavors that were in that group package are all very good. And the protein, I
That
like the
was.
vanilla one. Vanilla one is my thing.
And they're on
Of the
sale right now,
protein powder.
55% off. And I just posted to
Oh, wow.
a link for anybody who wants to share. If you use Rob's link, there's a link you can click onto. And Rob is an affiliate, so he gets a commission off of that. And you get a discount as well. So anytime you use his link, you actually get 10% off. We do have Prime Days coming. We've extended our Prime Days through the 10th, so you only can use one code at a time. But if you're using Rob's link, it will attribute to Rob, and then also you can continue getting his discount, which is 10% off. So 15% for Prime Day, 15 or 10% for Rob's continued affiliate code. So we
Be
got
very
those.
much appreciated. No,
It
furthermore
helps
than
him
being
continue to
appreciated,
share
I do
stuff.
appreciate. And that's what it is too. It's like, I don't, of course, like the commission is nice and all that, whatever. Being an affiliate is great. But at the end of the day, I believe in the vitamins, and I believe that they taste good. I take them myself. Wouldn't push anything that I didn't believe in. So even if you try it and you might find something that you don't like, and you stick with something that you do enjoy and it works, that's all that matters. It's just making sure that you're taking a vitamin and you're taking something that tastes good and that you like. That, again, it goes back to the consistency of things. As long as you can do it every day and make it a part of your routine, that's what it's all about.
I'm also going to just share on our ProCare site. There's a tab that's called Very Connected. That's where we house all of our events for this month. Rob's event is listed on there. If you want to come back, you can always click onto it, listen to the replay. It'll be on demand till the end of the month. We also have a podcast and a YouTube station. All of these events get added onto our podcast and our YouTube station the week post the event. So on Tuesday, so you can listen on demand before that, and then also listen to all of our wonderful replays on any of these. The website does have a little place where you can kind of click onto each of these and find those there. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I know we kind of went over, but we had so much. There's still even questions that people have. I'd say if you guys have a question that didn't get answered, please feel free to send a message to Rob on Instagram. You can always send a message to me, ProCare. We also do have a new Sadie product. The new ones will be, they should be shipping now. So if you are on that, you can call our customer service number if you do have a question, whether you're getting served the old version or the new version. There's a video on our ProCare YouTube channel that talks about the new Sadie version. It's Heather Mackey, our new dietitian that joined ProCare, and she's talking all about that. So on our website is our link to our YouTube channel. You can go there, and that also is the number for our customer service. And Michelle asked, where did you post the link? So which link are you looking for, Michelle? I want to make sure that I get you the right link. But Rob, thank you so much. And I'm looking so forward to catching up at the retreat. And it's been such a pleasure having you here with us.
If you ever want to do this again, I like this. This is fun. If you want to do like a part 2, whatever, I'm here to do whatever. But thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. It gives me a space to again, open up and be able to have the conversation with people. And if there are any questions, I know that what we went over was a lot and there is a lot to it, but it's not that difficult. But if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm always in my DMs. I actually love it. it's one of my favorite places to be, because it's cool, because that's the way that I can connect with people who are in a similar situation and continue to build a community and all of that. But any questions? My main page is Rob Motivation. The other one has an underscore. Again, I control them both, so it's me always. But yeah, anything needed, let me know. I'm always here to answer questions or just have a chat, whatever.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everybody take care. Have a wonderful day. And we hope to see you at retreat. If not, on the next Very Connected podcast. Thanks all. Bye.